Audio, check, check, check two, sibilance. Hi there folks, Uncle Troy here. Today video log number 26 I think, and we're going to talk about Microsoft Windows and how I don't like it. And I know Windows is about as ubiquitous as air, and so saying you don't like Windows is like saying you don't like air. It says, well, actually you don't need air, you need oxygen. Air is just a convenient way you can get oxygen. And Microsoft, you don't really need Microsoft Windows, you need a way to interact with your computer, and Windows is just the most common way to interact with your computer. But I don't like it because they do things that I don't like for example, every week there's updates. And I understand that, the world is changing and new devices are invented every day and there's new viruses every day, so you need to update your Windows, keep it current. I can understand that. But to say like you got 20 important updates that need to be installed this week and wants to install them all at the same time, and unless I've got mine set to actually ask me before it installs them, it'll go ahead and download them, and it won't install them until I say so. Because sometimes I work on a project for 2 or 3 days at a time and I need my computer to be usable during that whole time, and it's kind of annoying. You go away for a few minutes to get you a drink or something and come back and find that your software has shut itself down and maybe saved the project you're working on, maybe hasn't, to install new updates. That irritates me. So I tried to install about 22 new updates last Tuesday, and they didn't install right. It got to about 32%. It said it's going to install, going to restart, starts restarting, and it gets to about 32%, and it sits there, and a little spinning wheel of death spins and spins and spins and spins. And so I go away for a while to do something else away from the computer, come back, still spinning, 32%. I go away, I come back, and it's still at 32%. Now the little thing isn't spinning anymore, it's just sitting there. So I go away for a while, come back, and still 32%. Okay. Now it says right there on it, do not turn off your computer. And you've heard horror stories, I'm sure, and Microsoft tells horror stories, that if you turn off your computer may not boot ever again. You may have just killed your computer forever. It may have died, never going to be able to use your computer again. Most of the time that's not true. But ideally you should not turn off your computer while it's in the middle of updates. But I did, turned it back on, and immediately started installing the updates again, got to 32%, and then that little spinning wheel of death just kept spinning, and after an hour it stopped at 32% still. So I've booted into safe mode and tried to recover, and it said it was recovering previously saved state of the computer before I started installing the updates, and in the middle of that it froze. It just sat there. Little spinning wheel of death just stopped spinning. And I thought, okay, let's try rebooting in safe mode again. I noticed when it rebooted in safe mode, it told me what various parts of Windows it was loading. It scrolls by pretty fast, but then it stopped on pnpclass.dll, something like that. PNP stands for plug and play, or as we like to call it, plug and pray. And that's when you plug something into your computer through the USB port. Here's a random wire that's plugged into my computer through the USB port. I think it plugs into my Kindle, I think. That's what this plugs into. Anyway, so plug and play is what the various USB devices let you plug in. We call it plug and pray, by the way, because you plug it in and you pray it works. So the plug and play was causing a problem somehow. At least it stopped when it's loading every little bit of Windows, and then it gets to that part and it stops for a while. So I thought, okay, it's time to unplug some of my USB things. So I unplugged my USB headset here. Still won't load. I unplugged the camera that I'm recording from. Hi, Mom. It still doesn't load. I unplugged the little hockey puck thing, which I can't show you. I don't think I have enough. No, I don't have enough. Don't have enough slack and thing. But I got a little hockey puck thing that's an infrared remote receiver, and I use that so I can operate the computer by remote control. Basically, my home theater PC, I can operate it through my regular PC because it has a bigger monitor. And so I unplugged it, and then next time I tried to reboot, all the Windows updates installed except for one, which wasn't in the list of things when I went to review it later. But it said one failed to update, so I'm assuming that somehow my hockey puck was preventing Windows from updating, or it was the update for the hockey puck which was failing to install, something like that. Windows doesn't give you enough information to make the decision. So now I'm going to go back to something I used to do many, many years ago, which is every time I go to update Windows, I unplug all my USB devices. So the funny thing was, funny with little quotes around it, when I went to reinstall everything, you have to install your USB devices in the same USB hole that you had when you started. If you unplug your headset from the USB front right port, you have to plug it back into the front right port. If you plug it into the front left port, or one of the back ports, or your little extra port wherever, or into a hub, or in a different position on the hub, if it's anything different than it was, Windows treats it like it has never seen that device before, even though it's the exact same device that was just plugged into front right. It acts like this is a brand new device, never seen before, and wants to install the drivers for it. So apparently when I plugged in my little camera here, my Microsoft HD Live Cam, by the way, which I got because the previous Logitech C510 camera started locking up Windows every time I would plug it in. Anyway, so when I plugged this in, it said it's going to install the drivers. So I thought, oops, I must have plugged it into the wrong hole. So let's just wait a while it installs drivers. Doop-de-doop, doop-de-doop. Doop-de-doop, doop-de-doop. And notice that it's sitting there with a little spinning wheel of death, and the little spinning wheel of death has stopped spinning. Never a good sign. So I thought, well, I'll close this window, I'll work on something else. Well, when I try to close the window, it says Windows Explorer is not responding. Close, restart, ignored, maybe it'll start responding again, are your options. None of those are good options, by the way. None of those are good options, because Windows Explorer is the Windows icon, mouse, pointer interface that you talk to Windows with. That's Windows Explorer. And when that quits going, your computer is still chugging along fine. It's still running Mozilla Firefox. It was still installing the drivers, whatnot. It's just you can't use it anymore. So after about 20 minutes of waiting for Windows Explorer to restart, I just pull the plug. Well, actually, I hold down the power key for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, as it shuts down, something always changes on the screen to make it look like had you waited 4 more seconds, something would have happened. But and it gives a little chirp noise, like something's dying. Chirp. But when I load it back up, not only did Windows Explorer load properly, but the camera came right back online without having to install any additional drivers, which makes me think that the Windows did recognize that the camera was there, installed the correct drivers immediately, but it sat there with the Windows spinning wheel of death for no reason other than just to irritate me, piss me off. But that kept me from using my computer for anything for a couple of days. And so it came time to do my weekly, video log update. I figured I would do it about the Windows and how Windows did not want to update, and how I'm not sure I've installed all the proper updates. And, it's just taken me 2 days to get the computer back to where it's working again. And Windows shouldn't be like that. If you want to be the default standard everyday, everybody uses it all the time thing for computers, you ought to be as reliable as a light switch. And my father, televisions was his standard. A device, a computer, a video game, whatever, it needed to be as good as a television. You turn on the television works. You tune to channel 12, the television tunes to channel 12. Once in a great while, there'd be power goes out, TV doesn't work, that's fine. Once in a great while, there's a big storm, the antenna blows sideways, you can't pick up some of your channels. Well, that's okay, but that's it. 99% of the time you turn on the TV, it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, it's something simple like the power's out or the antenna's pointing in the wrong direction. And my father thought everything ought to work like that. And so when we come up to my computers, when I tried to show him how to use a computer, I said, well, first thing you got to do is you got to turn on the TV, turn on the computer, turn on the cassette drive, find the right cassette tape, put the right cassette tape in, press play, let the operating system load up, take that cassette out, rewind it first, by the way, and then put in a different cassette, type load, whatever, and it doesn't work. Well, turn the cassette player on its side, because sometimes the motor would run weird, and it ran better was on sideways. And then start running the program. Well, the program might crash depending on what data you gave it. You know, you can't make a television crash by typing in the wrong channel number. And if the television, you type in the wrong channel number, you just type in the right channel number and you're there. You type in the wrong data on a computer, you may have to go back to before you started entering data at all to restart again, whatever. So what I'm getting at is, if Microsoft really wants to be in charge, really wants to be the only game in town for a computer operating system, they need to make it as reliable as a television. And as reliable as televisions used to be, not as reliable as televisions are now that they're half computer. Because sometimes I'll turn on the computer and it will find out, for some reason, it's set at an input that has never had anything plugged into it in its life. We have never plugged any wire into HDMI input number 3. Never in its entire life. But for some reason, you leave the thing off for 2 days, you turn it on, there's no picture, no sound, and you find out it's set to HDMI input number 3 for no reason whatsoever. And that sucks. And I can figure it out. Oh, wrong input, got a picture, there we go, fine. But your average person on the street who has this thing hooked up to his cable TV and doesn't have, his DVD connector or anything else connected, wrong input might as well be Chinese for all he knows, because he can't figure it out. And I know that because I am the person that everybody in the family and everybody in the extended neighborhood calls when they have a problem. Installing a printer should be as simple as sitting the printer up, plugging it in, having at it. It's not. And found out the last time I helped my neighbor with his printer, he had installed the printer cable, the USB cable, and had ran the installation disk, and the computer could not find the printer even though it was hooked into 2 different connectors. And the crazy thing was, he had bought the printer cable and had bought the USB cable because the printer came with neither one of them, because it was wireless and should have automatically connected to his wireless internet and his Wi-Fi in his house, which I know he has Wi-Fi in his house because I helped him set it up. But it didn't, and I had to unconnect everything, reboot the computer a couple times to get it to admit that it wasn't trying to connect to the printer anymore, then let the printer connect to the Wi-Fi, then let the computer connect to the Wi-Fi through the printer, blah, 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 blah. Point is, Microsoft sucks. There needs to be a better way to operate your computers. Okay, I should have done this at the start, but let's say hello to some new subscribers. And now Uncle Troy is going to take a nap. Y'all have a good night.